Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad. So we're going to talk about fallacy of composition. And it's going to be a relatively short video on this one. The fallacy of composition is an argument that although we experience things within the universe having a beginning or having a cause or being dependent upon something else, it would be a fallacy to assume that the universe as a whole has a beginning, has a cause, and is dependent. Bertrand Russell, famous atheist, he debated Frederick Copleston, a Jesuit priest, and obviously thus he's a believer in God, the Jesuit priest. And he retorted that although each human being has a mother, this is what Bertrand Russell is saying, each human being has a mother, it would be wrong to claim that humanity as a whole has a mother. So just the Frederick Copleston, what he said was that everything that we experience within the universe is limited, finite, dependent, and therefore the universe is also a construction of limited, finite, dependent, and therefore must also be dependent upon something else. And Bertrand Russell is saying, well, that's a fallacy of composition. You have taken what you experience within parts and come to the conclusion and made a generalized statement of the overall. So the problem with the argument that people respond saying, oh, you're just applying the fallacy of composition, is that the principle of causality is not a principle that we actually derive from experience. So we don't say, okay, the reason why we believe that this has an effect and that has a cause, or there's a cause and then there's an effect, or cause and effect can be simultaneous but they're separate things. The reason why we look for reasons, for explanations of things, is not because we experience causality and then we come to the conclusion, therefore causality must exist, but rather we ask the question of what is the reason behind the thing, what is the thing dependent upon, when we identify that it's a possible being, it's a contingent possible being. Therefore, it has specific attributes, but it could be other attributes, has specific limitations, but it could be other limitations. It could be arranged in one way or arranged in another way. It could have not existed, but it does exist. So all of these are possible things. So if it does have existence, possible existence, if it does have specific attributes, where it could have had other attributes, if it did have specific limitations, where it could have been limited in another way, if it was arranged in one way, but it could have been arranged in another way, then we're going to naturally ask the question, what is the reason behind it being that way as opposed to another way? Like the example that I've given before of the red triangle. Why is a triangle red as opposed to blue? Because it could be a number of possible colors. Thus, what we understand is that causality also is a necessary principle for rational thought and comprehension. Hence, it comes before our experience as a way to comprehend experience. So we use causality to understand the universe. It's not that we come and we sense the universe and now we comprehend then causality, but rather we need causality in order to comprehend the universe. Thus, the fact that we are able to develop thoughts and comprehend necessitates that causality as a principle must exist. If I think and my thinking is built upon causality and I can make rational judgments, then causality must also be true. And as we said, we asked the question that what causes something? What is this thing dependent upon? And we said that we asked this question because we sense that there is a number of possibilities for it to exist, as I mentioned. Therefore, when we look at this and revisit this question about human beings and humanity, every human has a mother, doesn't mean therefore the humanity as a whole has a mother. Well, what we're actually saying is that humans and humanity have the same reality. They have the same attributes, and those attributes is that they're both possible beings, either the individual human being or the collective of humanity, the possible beings, and so therefore they're the same nature, and so it still be valid to ask the question, who caused humanity? What was the cause for the existence of humanity? Irrespective of whether we say who's the mother of humanity or whatever, we're still looking for an explanation, reason why the collective of temporal, limited, finite, dependent beings exist. Secondly, let's assume that outside the universe there is no causality. So let's just take that as a granted. that there is just randomness, complete randomness outside the universe. There are no laws, no explanations, it just follows no patterns whatsoever. Then why would we have a universe that we reside in that does strictly adhere to patterns within nature? Why is it that we can predict future events from our past experiences? Remember, if there's absolutely no causality, there is no ability to make predictions, then anything could happen. An elephant could come behind me, yeah? Anything literally could happen at any moment, at any given moment of time. But we don't see that. We see patterns. We see, that our future events follow our past experiences. We see that there is a very detailed and defined system that operates within this universe. So if outside the universe there is no causality, we're still left with the question, well, what caused this universe to follow causal patterns? What caused this? If outside the universe there are no laws, then what caused this universe to follow certain laws? What created order from absolute and utter chaos? So therefore we are still within the valid question to say, what is the creator? What is the dependency upon created things? We are not, we're not going into this fallacy of causation with regards to this. So this leads to the final point, which is to say that if we can validly ask the question, what is the cause of the entire universe, and not fall into the fallacy of composition, then we are still going to ask the question, is it another limited dependent being, or is it going to be an unlimited independent being? If they say, well, it is from a causeless, non-existent, random, no causality reality, then we are not given an explanation for the existence of a caused, ordered, precise universe that follows detailed laws. The only explanation for that would be a necessary, independent, eternal being that chose to create and fix the laws and fix the ways that the universe operates within this system. Obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.